Ah, India. The sound, the scenery, the flavors, and the people. Most women who visit India will have an incredible time and return home with nothing but amazing memories of the country and its people. However, it only takes a quick glance at Google to see that some women visitors are finding themselves the victims of sexual assaults and, unfortunately, all too frequently, rape. Having read the articles and seen Western women's actions and behaviours in the country itself, I can say that many, if not most, of the rapes could and should have been avoided. Now, I know perfectly well that in this time of PC talk and feminist ideology, to say that a female rape victim could somehow be responsible for the heinous crime committed against her is akin to hate speech. But I'm going to say it anyway, because staying silent on the matter isn't going to save Western women from further assaults and rapes on the subcontinent. First of all, we have to accept that whilst no woman ever deserves to be raped, some of them are, however, responsible in large part for the crime committed against them. Now, this is blatantly self-evident in many other types of crimes, and we routinely place blame on victims of theft, for example. But with rape, it seems a social no-no. This pussyfooting around the subject, however, is quite ridiculous. Look, if I walk down a dangerous part of Rio de Janeiro wearing a Rolex on my wrist, few people are going to have sympathy for me when it inevitably gets taken from me by some local thug from the favela. Friends and family would roll their eyes and say, well, what did you expect? However, when a young, pretty Western girl decides to visit a remote beauty spot on a motorcycle with two Indian men she met just an hour earlier and ends up the victim of an assault, I'm not supposed to blame her for her stupidity. This is blatantly absurd and a double standard. The fact is that Western women are being raped and assaulted in India in large numbers, almost entirely because they are behaving in ways there that they would not behave back in their home countries. So here's an example of that. Just recently, I was in Dharamsala. I was sitting in a cafe and happened to listen in on a conversation at a nearby table. A young American girl was approached by a local man that she didn't know. They chatted a while, and after about 20 minutes, the Indian guy invited the American girl for a smoke back at his place, where he said he had some good weed. She happily agreed, paid her bill, and left with him. Now, I don't know what happened after that. Hopefully, they had a smoke, and then she went home unmolested. But let's for one moment imagine she wasn't in India. Let's say that instead she was in, say, Seattle or Dallas. And I approached her in a cafe, and after 20 minutes said, hey, want to come back to my place for a smoke? Now, would she so readily get up and follow me, a stranger, to an unknown location, not knowing what the hell she would find there, or exactly what my true intentions were? Now, I'm not a betting man, but I'd hazard a guess and say that she wouldn't. And so, the question is, why is it that Western women in India routinely take these chances and have such a disregard for their personal safety? Well, in most part, it's because they have a rose-tinted view of Indian men and India in general. You see, Western women think of India and Indian men as being on something of a higher spiritual plane, let's say. They seem to think that every rickshaw driver or tourist tout has the keys to enlightenment just because they happen to tell them the story of how the god Ganesh got his elephant head. What harm could such an enlightened man possibly do to me, they say to themselves. But what they don't realize is that Indians are no more enlightened than anyone else. A rickshaw driver in India is just a rickshaw driver. And if he invites you, an attractive, seemingly available young woman, to his room, well, it's not to discuss the path to nirvana. It's to try to achieve more earthly pleasures. To think anything else is to simply be naive. So, the real key to not being a victim in India of any kind of sexual assault is to remove the spectacles and see India and Indians clearly, without any kind of filter in front of your eyes. Only that way can you, as a woman, avoid getting into situations there that you avoid routinely back home. So, for example, if you had not hitchhiked solo and accept lifts from strange men at night in your own country, then don't do it in India. If you had not go on a remote hike with two men you had only just met in your own place of birth, then why do it in the Himalayas? You see, the majority of men in India are cool and friendly, and they really wish you no harm whatsoever. And the idea of assaulting a woman to those men is a complete anathema to them. But, unfortunately, there is also a, let's say, less scrupulous section of society that sees Western women in their shorts and figure-hugging t-shirts as, well, no more than easy prey. So, the point is just to see Indian people as you look at people in your own country. They are no different. They're a good, they're a bad. And hence, you should always keep your wits about you. If you followed my advice, I promise you that you'll return from India with nothing but wonderful memories from a wonderful country. Okay, girls. Safe travels. Namaste.